Hello, my name's Joe, and what we're going to be looking at today is how to add animations to the sequencer inside of Unreal Engine 5. If you find this useful, please do like, subscribe, and hit that bell as it really helps me out. So here we go. What I've got here is I've just got the a basic Unreal Engine project here. It's actually the Lyra project, but I'm just using this as a testing platform. So what we're going to do here is we're going to first of all add our characters. I'm just going to use the stuff that from the Paragon packs that Epic give away for free. So I'm going to use Revenant, and I'm going to just navigate to Zinx, and just going to add them there. So when she appears, there we go. Right, so we've got our two characters here. Now what we're going to do is go to the sequencer film clapper here, and we're going to just select a master sequencer for this. Just create or give it a name. I'll name it Joe sequence. You give it whatever you want. I'm not going to worry about any of that for the minute. What we're then going to do is click the little camera icon here, and this is going to add the camera. So then what we're going to do is set the focal length to 24. This is just so we can get a little bit more on the screen, just for the purposes of this tutorial. So that's that really. So I'm just going to close that so we've got more space. Now, what I've got here is you'll notice that the film camera we've added is selected the little film icon there. If not, just click it so it's highlighted white. So now what we want to do is basically add our characters to the sequencer and then add some example animations on there and just have a little look at what we can do inside the sequencer in Unreal Engine 5. Bear in mind, obviously, this is just a sort of really a basic tutorial to just help people out. It's not going into advanced sequencer-based stuff. So what we're going to do is, with our character selected, we then right-click in the left-hand pane inside the sequencer and actor sequencer. So whatever your character is called or your prop, it will say add, cube or fence or person or whatever. So that's going to add Revenant. We're going to click on Zinx and do exactly the same. So now we've got our two characters added to our sequencer. So for the purposes of this, I'm just going to set this minus 0.75 to 0, just so we don't have that block at the end. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an animation. Now, 90% of the time, you'll get animation under the character or prop. If not, just click on track next to the character and animation, and that'll bring down an animation tab. So what we're going to do is go to this animation track, and we're going to click the animation plus sign. We're going to select cast, and what you'll see here is if I just drag the little sort of squares at the end of the scroll bar here, it'll enlarge the view so we can see what we've got here. So what you can see here is it's added an animation, and it's the length of the animation. So what we can do here, when we press play, it'll play. So what we can do then is, see there, we can scrub as well, is we can actually drag out our animation. So what this will do is it continuously loop the animation. And I'm now not sure if YouTube will actually show this, but for each time the animation repeats, you get a line put through it to show that it's started again. So I thought I'd just show you that because that's handy, but we'll drag that back down to 1. So then what I'm going to do is go to Zinx, and I'm just going to, again, animation. I'm just going to type in dead, and we're just going to select that. Now, what I want to do is just do a very simple animation as if he's casting a spell and killing Zinx. So as you can see here, that's he's killing her pretty much straight away. So what we want to do is if we grab the animation, we can actually move it around the timeline. So I'm going to just do a very rough thing here where she stood there, and then the spell hits her and she dies. That's it. Now, what we can do is we can add like another animation. So say we want, after he's done the animation, we want him to go to idle, and we can add idle, just move that back, and we can drag it to the edge of the clip. So what will happen then is as he's cast the spell, he'll move back to idle. We can see there what happens is he goes back to a very abrupt transition there. So what we can do is that we can actually grab the animation and overlap them. And what this does is as we overlap them, you can see it adds like 2 almost waves, and this is the crossfade. So what this does is it's blending the 2 animations together to hopefully create a smooth transition. So as he's casted that, he's then switching, as you can see, to his new animation there. So an example, if I drag that back out, you can see how abrupt the transition is there. And as we drag it over, you can see how smooth it is. Now, you can play with this crossfade as much as you want to add, like, it might be that you want a more gradual, or you want a more, a lot faster. But you can play around with that. But that just gives you an idea there of how that works. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a simple way of doing sort of kind of what you do in things like Mayor and that, where it's keyframe animation. And this is going to be utilizing the transform. So with the Revenant, what we're going to do is we're just going to turn the Revenant and we're going to make him sort of jog across the screen here, as if he was jogging across the screen. So with animation, again, we're going to type in jog. Scroll down, we should have one for forward. There we go. So what he's going to do here is he's going to just jog on the spot. Now we can extend this out again like we did before, and we'll say we'll go for 4 animations here. So that's just going to continuously play on a loop there. So what we can do now is we can utilize the transform. Now transforms are the X, Y, and Z, so up, down, left, right, whatever you decide to call it. And what we're going to utilize is we're going to utilize the x-axis here to just move across, or the red one just to move across the screen here. So when we hit transform, what that does is if you, in between the 2 arrows here, you've got a little plus, and this is adding a keyframe. So this is basically saying record what location the character is at. So what we do is then scrub along the timeline, and we are going to move our character across the screen like that. And then we're going to hit that same transform button. So what happens then is that's keyframed the location he's currently at there. And obviously you can add multiple things in here. If he's going up a hill or whatever, you can do that. But this is, as you can see here, this is what it's done. So when we press play, you'll see that he starts running. Now, as you notice at the beginning, it starts off slow, and the reason that is that because the curve needs to be set to linear, so it's constantly running at the same speed. The character's running at the same speed. So what we'll do is we'll grab the 2 keyframes that we put down, with them both highlighted, right click and select, I believe it's constant. Let's try constant. Nope, it's not. Sorry, right click and try linear. There we go. So yeah, there we go. So you can see here he's now running at a reasonable speed, but he's running too slow. So what we can do here is the keyframes that we put down, they've now changed from an orange circle to a triangle to symbolize that we're now on linear. And we can actually move these backwards or forwards. Obviously, the longer we stretch this, the slower character will move. The further we bring it towards the other keyframe, or left, the faster the character moves. So I've moved him left, and you can see there that that's more on par with what we need. So what we can do here is you get the gist of it. We can actually start adding more detail into here. We start playing about with our keyframes and things like that. So what obviously keyframes allow you to do as well is that it can go up and down as well. You're not just limited to being on a flat surface here. You can actually keyframe. So what we can do here is if we go to the middle, and you've got to imagine he's running up a hill, for instance. You can see there that we've got our curve placed here, so it shows what's going on. So we can put a hill under this, and the character's running up the hill. You can also obviously keyframe, if a character was sort of had a jump, he was jumping off something or onto something, we can have it so it initially starts there. When he jumps, that the character moves and drops down, all utilizing the transforms here. You've got inside the transform rotation, you can actually scale characters as well. So if you wanted to go from giant to small, whatever, you can do all that. I'm not going to go too much further in here because there's like loads of features in here where you can hide the actor, so it's only triggered. So if he was, say, imagine jumping into a portal and you wanted him to vanish, you can turn him on and off as needed. But this was just a very quick look at how to trigger animations. Obviously, the more animations you have in, the more complicated things you can do. This is just a very simple tutorial. Again, thank you for all your support. Really appreciate it. Please do like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and cheers.